Good evening. A royal family accustomed to crises is tonight in uncharted territory.
The former Prince Andrew is a police suspect, not charged, but under investigation for corruption, punishable with life in jail.
The disgraced former Duke was arrested and questioned at a police station while detectives searched his new Sandringham home and his old residence near Windsor Castle.
The investigation was triggered by his links to his pedophile friend Jeffrey Epstein.
Our correspondents have live details from Buckingham Palace and Sandringham.
But first, let's go to foreign editor Hugh Whitfeld, who begins our coverage.
After 11 hours in custody, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor humiliated. Any effort to avoid being snapped in the backseat of this car failing spectacularly. The end of a long day when his life further and very rapidly unravelled.
Absolutely seismic, unprecedented, historic.
This is an extraordinary series of events for the royal family.
On the King's own Sandringham estate, police arrived at 8 a.m. without warning. Andrew was read his rights as detectives began their search, rifling through drawers and cupboards at his new home and his old residence, Royal Lodge, 200 kilometres away on the Windsor estate.
They could either have invited Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to a police station and arranged a time for him to go in, or they could have done what they ended up doing, which was the element of surprise and turning up on his doorstep at breakfast time.
He was later taken to a local police station where he spent 9 hours after being fingerprinted and asked to offer a saliva swab for DNA, a mugshot too. He would have faced detectives' questions. It's still unclear how cooperative he may have been. All on his 66th birthday.
This is just an extraordinary fall from grace. Here was the man that was born into wealth and privilege, a Royal Naval officer, decorated, and now he's been languishing in a police station all day today.
Before being released and driven home. The King also given no advance warning. His Majesty releasing a statement, unusually in his own words. "I have learned with the deepest concern," he said, "the news about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. My family and I will continue in our duty and service to you all."
Do you have any reaction to the arrest of your brother, sir?
Your Majesty, how are you feeling after your brother's arrest?
Today, amid all the questions, that duty and service meant attending a London fashion show, watching models on the catwalk as his brother sat in a police interview room. Andrew's arrest is not related to his leading accuser, the late Virginia Giuffre, or the sex trafficking ring run by Jeffrey Epstein. Instead, it's the information Andrew was privy to as a UK trade envoy for a decade until 2011. Documents released in the Epstein files appear to show the then Prince was forwarding on to the disgraced financier confidential and sensitive government reports, including about investment opportunities. The offence is being investigated over misconduct in public office, which includes abusing the public's trust. It carries a maximum penalty of life in prison. Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing. Still from Virginia Giuffre's family today.
Kudos to the UK for taking the first step, for saying, you know what, we are going to arrest somebody who is held to one of the highest esteems out there, somebody who was a former prince. I think we're very hopeful that this is the start of the domino effect. This is where the house of cards starts falling. Donald Trump was on board Air Force One.
I'm the expert in a way because I've been totally exonerated. It's very nice. I can actually speak about it very nicely. I think it's a shame. I think it's very sad. I think it's so bad for the royal family.
The King is due to visit the US in April. Princess Anne today not talking and not cancelling a planned visit to a prison, gaining new insights. Their brother, the late Queen's favourite son, stripped of his titles, any remaining royal dignity, yet Andrew is still 8th in line to the throne for now. This 1,000-year-old institution being stress-tested like never before.
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is not any other person. And that is why this marks, I would contest, the biggest crisis for the royal family in a century.
This is the worst crisis since the abdication.
That was 1936. King Edward stepped down. The last royal to be arrested, King Charles I, under house arrest in 1647. He was later beheaded. 379 years later, this man shrinks from prince to pariah and potentially soon to be a prisoner. Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
Let's go live to Ben Downing outside Andrew's home at Sandringham. And Ben, less than 24 hours ago, police set off an astonishing chain of events.
That's for sure, Will. Good evening. Yes, that breakfast time raid here at Wood Farm struck like an earthquake. It came without warning, fear or favour for the former prince. Police acting here with the full knowledge that every step they take will be placed under the most intense scrutiny. And if this does proceed to court, which appears increasingly likely, it is a legal saga that has the potential to drag on for years. The scandal too with it, rolling on and on and on, and who knows who might else be dragged into it as well. Rosanna?
All right, thank you, Ben. Now, Jacqueline Robson joins us live from Buckingham Palace. Jackie, it looks like the royals are throwing Andrew to the wolves.
Well, Rosanna, that blunt statement from the King himself certainly sets that tone, and it must be said there is not a lot of love left for his disgraced brother among the British people. Andrew has become wildly unpopular here, summed up by the headline in the Sun newspapers this morning, "Now he's sweating." And let's be frank, the ruthless UK tabloids can usually smell blood in the water. Make no mistake, crucial in all of this is the role of Prince William. He's known to be seething with anger about the shame his uncle has already brought to the family, and that's sure to influence how the palace manages this crisis in the days, weeks and months ahead. Rosanna?
Live from London, Jackie there. Thank you very much. Now, let's turn back home. One of Adelaide's prestigious private schools could be forced to close for at least a month to make way for the new MotoGP race.
Christian Brothers College has told 7 News it's fuming over the announcement, which it only heard about through the media.
While it's beers and cheers for the Premier,
that's not too bad.
Not everyone's celebrating the MotoGP announcement. One of Adelaide's most elite private schools overlooks the Supercars Adelaide Grand Final track and now the MotoGP course, and could be forced to close for at least a month due to both races. 7 News understands the principal only found out via media reports yesterday, saying true collaboration requires more than a post-announcement briefing, and we look forward to engaging in open dialogue to ensure the event is a success, not a shared frustration.
We're always up for consultation. There's no harm in that. We're willing to engage.
The Parklands Association says a chunk of the East Parklands is at risk of going.
The plans that the Premier released yesterday, it looks like there's going to be a permanent track in this section between Bartels and Wakefield Street.
Which means the playground where the CBC students go at lunch and recess, the disc golf course, and according to the association, at least 100 trees are at risk.
These olive groves behind us have been planted for a very long time, and a lot of the residents around here actually take care of them.
But it's unclear how much parklands will be carved out for extra installation to ensure the safety of riders.
Here on Decatable Terrace will be the fastest part of the track. They'll come round off Rundle Road and hit top speed. But organisers say our street circuit will be safe. AI technology is being used to ensure the final course design adheres to strict standards.
But any bumps in the road to planning certainly aren't a concern to the tourism industry.
We are a world-class destination state, and with that comes fresh money coming in.
Hannah Ford, 7 News.
Now to the sudden closure of a northeastern suburbs childcare centre over safety breaches.
Deanna Williams joins us live in the studio. Dee, this affects dozens of families.
It does, Will, and they're going to have to find alternative care arrangements for their children and fast. The Education Standards Board has shut down the Tea Tree Gully Childcare Centre for a fortnight after making a series of unannounced visits over the past 8 weeks. It found the centre breached 5 regulations, including a failure to protect children from foreseeable risks and hazards. Staff have been ordered to do a full deep clean of all indoor and outdoor areas, replace cots that don't meet standards and repair structural defects near emergency exits. Parents have been notified of the shutdown. The centre says staff are working to address all of the issues and are confident of having the facility up and running ahead of the March 4 deadline. But if the problems aren't fixed within 14 days, the board could extend the shutdown. Rosanna.
Right, thank you, Dee. 7 News can reveal a man accused of torching a photographic studio in the city is from Victoria. 31-year-old Brodie Christopher Ide fronted a magistrate this afternoon and didn't apply for bail. He's charged with 1 count of arson. Avalon Photographic Studio was destroyed in the $2 million blaze. Firefighters managed to save an adjacent special school. Ide remains locked up until at least June.
Nurses have called off a 24-hour strike planned for the Lyell McEwin next Thursday after a small step forward in pay negotiations.
Lauren Rose is at the hospital, and Lauren, this is a win for patients.
It is, Rosanna. The strike would have seen 1,000 outpatient appointments cancelled and dozens of elective surgeries scrapped here. Nurses and midwives who are demanding a 20% pay increase were going to walk off the job, but the government has convinced them not to, offering interim rises totalling 6%, which translates to a $6,000 boost. These negotiations have been going on for over a year now, and both parties have acknowledged they are far from over.
This is the last day before the government enters caretaker mode and no significant decisions can be made. An enterprise agreement requires the signing off by Cabinet, and Cabinet doesn't continue to meet during the caretaker period.
Let me be clear, the campaign is not at an end. We have pressed a strategic pause button whilst we get back around the table.
So the fight over this enterprise bargaining agreement is at a truce until after the March 21st election, and that means further future strikes cannot be ruled out. Will.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. Let's go to some breaking news now. And an Adelaide Hills horse trainer has been found guilty of shocking animal cruelty after sickening footage emerged of him repeatedly belting a horse with his riding helmet. 7 News was there when Anthony Thomas walked from court.
Saddled with a guilty verdict.
Why did you hit the horse?
Okay.
Is it a training method?
Okay, yeah.
No, that's not your property.
Oh,
you can be angry.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get you out of the way. Paketown equestrian Anthony Thomas on trial in Mount Barker for an act so cowardly.
Can you stupid?
His employee dobbed him in.
Do you like animals?
Of course I do. I live for my animals. Video filmed in March 2024 shows him striking a horse with his riding helmet and yelling verbal abuse. Actions his lawyer argued was necessary harm in training the animal. Employee Alyssa Tingson sent the footage to RSPCA and SAPOL investigators. I didn't think it was right. He was screaming and swearing at it, she told the court. The horse was very stressed.
Why did you hit them?
This was a one-off that happened.
The confronting footage was viewed more than a dozen times throughout the day's proceedings. At no stage did Mr Thomas show any reaction, but those watching in the gallery were clearly shocked.
The judge found Mr Thomas untruthful and vague and said the evidence about it being a training method absolutely ridiculous. The equestrian faces a maximum 2 years in prison or a $20,000 fine. Kimberly Pratt, 7 News.
It could be a soggy start to the Fringe Festival with a summer downpour threatening to spoil the opening weekend.
Gertie's in the East End for us tonight. Gertz, we're being warned to prepare for significant falls.
We are, Rosanna. Thunderstorms could trigger intense but short bursts of heavy rain on Sunday, similar to scenes that we saw on Tuesday earlier in the week. And that storm cell prompted a wave of calls to the SES for minor flooding as it caused headaches east and west of the city. So now is the time to clean and unblock gutters before it's too late. Tonight, though, blue sky overhead as the Fringe Festival officially kicks off. There are 1,600 shows across the state, 31 nights of incredible comedy, circus, cabaret acts and more.
Ticket sales are already tracking well ahead of this time last year, which is really exciting, and we're thrilled to see a really strong interstate, international tourist numbers increasing.
And a reminder, the East End is a declared public precinct. Police will have additional powers to search and warn anyone they believe could be carrying a weapon. They'll also have the power to remove and ban rowdy revellers from this area. Rosanna.
All right, thank you, Gertie. A man's been arrested, accused of attacking two people waiting at a bus stop in Grenfell Street. Witnesses claim the 32-year-old was acting aggressively and punching random members of the public. The victims were shaken by the incident but didn't suffer any serious injuries.
A northern suburbs tradie who sparked a massive grass fire using a ride-on mower says he tried in vain to stamp out the flames. The blaze destroyed several glass houses and even threatened a home.
Battling from the ground and above, fire crews raced to a property at Cudler.
It was just black smoke everywhere. It was, it was pretty crazy.
The fierce flame sparked by a ride-on mower.
He's hit some metal or something and, sparked it up.
The contractor had been hired to slash long grass on the disused paddock when the fire erupted.
It's too big for me, and then I called Triple Zero.
He says he tried to douse the flames with a fire extinguisher before running off to fetch more water, but by the time he returned, the blaze had already spread beyond control. It tore through several glass houses and came dangerously close to at least one home.
Well, yeah, we thought it was going to keep going for miles.
The fire was contained within the hour and witnesses are thankful, saying it could have been so much worse.
I've got to take my hat off to them. They certainly did their job today.
Fire crews remained on site to monitor hotspots. Madison Stanley, 7 News.
The SA Liberal Party appears on the brink of oblivion, with disastrous new polls showing a One Nation surge just a month out from the state election. Ashton Hearn's team faces the possibility of being wiped off the map, at risk of losing all 13 of its seats.
Ashton Hearn's eyes are firmly on the Premier, but perhaps it's the orange tsunami she should be watching.
Polls, they come and go.
The latest news poll has One Nation's primary vote soaring to 24%, the Libs plunging to just 14%, a slump that would see the party lose all 13 seats it currently holds.
None of it takes away from my focus, which is on getting out there and announcing policies that are genuinely going to improve the lives of South Australians.
The numbers only marginally better in a YouGov survey. One Nation still outpaces the Libs, while Labor stays firmly in control.
I think they're indicative of the chaos that's been delivered to the South Australian people as an alternative government.
Next month's election will test whether One Nation's growing popularity can translate into seats, and there's no doubt the rest of the nation will be watching.
The South Australian election's about South Australian issues with an eye to federal issues.
Those issues taking centre stage today as the leaders faced off at the Advertisers Future SA Forum.
Well, what are you doing about debt?
Clashing over tax reform and power prices.
For so many South Australians, the simple answer about whether their life is better after 4 years of Labor is no.
The Premier revealing a new deal with Santos to keep more gas in SA.
This is a unique and unprecedented partnership with one of our country's greatest miners.
With just 29 days to the election, the battle is on. Michaela Kamarik, 7 News.
And if you're looking to make some extra cash, the Electoral Commission may have the job for you. It needs 8,000 workers to help out at polling booths across the state on election day. Applicants need to be at least 16 and have no affiliation with a political party. To register your interest, visit the website on your screen.